This is John Casey, author of Baby Babble Wordplay, with a video for parents of young children who are learning and developing their talking skills. I have 3 charts I'll be going over tonight with these highly technical graphics. One for IQ ranges, one for the diffusion of innovation, and one about the 2 groups of lifestyle attitudes that affect us as we develop throughout our lives. So, the first graph in front of us is about the IQ ranges to try to give a brief overview over the range of intelligent quotient scores and how that affects our learning as we age through the school system and as we develop as individuals. So 100 is the average for IQ scores. It represents the middle line between below average and above average, and right in the middle they've pegged it at a score of 100. Everything below that, what I call the no-go zone, are IQs from 99 down to 70. Although the people in this category are nice, they have less ability when it comes to learning, and they're at a disadvantage because of it. The proponents of IQ tests say it's all genetic, but that's not really the case. I won't go into it in much detail, but the numbers on the side over here represent the levels of IQ: 160, 150, 140, 130, 120, 115, 108, 100, and then 99, 85, 70. Over here, the fractions on the side, 1 out of 44 people is at 70, 1 out of 6 people is at 85, 1 out of every 2 people is around 99 or 100, 1 out of 3, 108, 1 out of 6 people is at about 115. 115 to 85 is considered the average range. It's called the standard deviation. It doesn't really matter, but about 1 out of every 10 people has an IQ of 120 or higher, 1 out of every 50 people an IQ of 130 or higher, 1 out of 261, 250 has an IQ of 140 or higher. That's considered the genius level range. 1 out of 2,300 people has an IQ of 150, again, genius range. 1 out of 31,000 people is in the 160 range. So that sounds like a lot of people, but you realize there's probably about 10,000 people at that level just in the United States. So it's not unattainable. And then you have the really high limits of 190, 180, 170. These are theoretical numbers because 1 out of 190 is about 1 out of a billion people, they estimate. 180 is about 1 out of 20 million people, and an IQ of 170 is about 1 out of a million people. So in the United States, roughly 350 to 400 people, in theory, have an IQ of 170. Now, with all that said, this is the diffusion of innovation graph from Everett Rogers' book. Basically, it means that when any new idea or product comes along, the population will start using it roughly according to this graph. About 2.25% of the population will be the innovators. They start using things as early as they get them. The second group is early adopters. They're after that about 13.5%, 34% for the early majority, 30% the late majority, and 16% of the laggards. So in this end, people want to get it as soon as it comes out. In this end, the laggards, they stop buying it when they don't make it anymore. This is relevant because each year in the United States, currently there's about 4 million babies born. It's been estimated to be about 3.6 million to 4 million. So just to round up for our purposes, that means that statistically less than 100% of the new parents will use or try the system that I'm telling you about. This puts the people in the category of innovators. 2.5% of the population, roughly 100,000 people each year are going to fall into that category. So this will give a disruptive advantage to the 100,000 people that want to get involved learning the system that I'm going to be teaching you. Now, in learning any activity or in putting out any amount of effort, people tend to fall into one of 2 categories by choice. Either they want to do as little as possible, or they want to get the best results possible. There's not a lot of middle ground there, but it applies to any activity. So maybe somebody wants to be the best guitar player, but they want to put as little effort as possible into their work, or the other way around. They want to be a workaholic, do everything they can at work, but they're not really interested in learning a musical instrument. It applies to all of us. We're not all the best, and we're also not all the least amount of effort. So when it comes to learning words or teaching our baby, the average, if you look it up on the internet, you can find the average is 0 to 3 words at 12 months for children. Out of the 4 million children that are going to be born this year and next year, that's the average. That was not the average 30 years ago, and depending on who puts out the publication, they'll give different numbers. So 3 to 10 words is advanced. That's just what they call it. In reality, it's only 10 words compared to 0, but we don't know what the child needs to learn before they can pick up those 10 words. So gifted is considered around 10 to 30 words. Highly gifted, 75. They also say gifted for a baby, they start talking around 9 months, sometimes as early as 6. And then for average for an 18 month, 18 months is between 150 and 30. And the average for 2-year-olds is between 300 and 150. So what I'm trying to get across in these highly technical, wonderful drawings is that my program is to show you how to get and teach between 150 to 300 words to your 12-month-old, or in the first 12 months of your baby. So the reason is that these levels here represent people that are not doing very much for the most part. There's some kids that have other physical issues, and not to disparage them in any way, but most of these are just a result of not teaching your child anything. The advanced ones, they teach them a little more. The gifted, they teach them a little more. But nobody's applying a real system to try to get these numbers. And so the big jump in growth that 1 to 2-year-olds experience is they finally have some gateway vocabulary. And once you get some initial words going on, all sorts of words will follow. So if I was trying to teach you a foreign language and we spent the first year and didn't do anything at all, you're going to get the 0 to 3 words in that foreign language after 12 months. But if we had an actual system in place to teach you all sorts of things, like 150 to 300 words, at the end of that 1 year, you're going to show a substantial advantage over the people that aren't doing anything. So most parents at the time my child was under a year, everybody just told us to wait. They'll pick it up on their own. And what I learned after that is that if I'd had a simple system or a system, I could have taught so much more. So I developed that system, and I'd like to share it with you. So 150 to 300 words, depending on the level of commitment. 75 is less commitment. It really depends on how much activity and how much commitment the parent is going to put into practicing and teaching their baby. Down here is not the result of a high level of interaction and practice by the parent. Up here is some amount of activity, but without a system. And so when you get a system, you get all the best things and you put them together, and that makes the system. So I'm going to give a lot of free stuff out because I'd like to get as many people as possible just up to here, just for free. And then for people that want to put in more effort, the higher levels are possible. So I'll be giving, those lessons. Also, the first one will be the 42 Sounds of American English, and that'll be the next video. So thanks for watching.